Imagine, just beneath your feet, a hidden empire thrives. Not human, but insect. For generations, two ancient societies have coexisted in a fragile, uneasy peace. Woodland Collective, meticulous, resourceful, the quiet guardians of the old forest floor in this very American backyard. And then, there's the Crimson Horde, red fire ants, invaders from the deep south. Their very name a burning warning, their sting a fiery torment. Until now, the balance held. But deep within the sprawling root systems of a quiet suburban garden, something shifted. A whisper of hunger, a tremor of territorial greed. Suddenly, the very ground they walked on became a brutal battlefield. Resources dwindle, territories shrink, and an ancient animosity ignites into a devastating no-holds-barred war for survival. This isn't just a bug fight. It's a brutal testament to resilience, strategy, and the merciless cost of dominion. You won't believe the intelligence, the sheer ferocity packed into these tiny warriors. Simim, ichiti, videogel, bischitit. Imagine, deep within that very American backyard we discussed, not one, but 82 ant empires had established their formidable presence. First, the Woodland Collective, the meticulous native inhabitants. Picture them. Diligent workers, their vast, intricate tunnel networks a testament to generations of quiet, strategic mastery. They were the original architects of this specific patch of earth, the steady heartbeat of the forest floor. But then, the ground literally, trembled with the arrival of the Crimson Horde. These weren't just any ants. These were the dreaded red fire ants, invaders from the scorching south. Their expansion relentless, their very presence a searing warning. Their name a testament to their painful sting, their numbers now swelled, their aggression undeniable. For a time, an almost unnatural, fragile peace had settled over their shared domain. But how long, really, could such a peace endure? The fragile peace, already strained, was now brutally tested by an enemy more ancient than any ant, the sun. A merciless drought descended upon the suburban garden, baking the earth, sucking life from every plant, every water source. Day by day, once lush foraging grounds dwindled to a parched wasteland. You can imagine the desperation. For the Crimson Horde, fiery invaders from the south, this was an existential crisis. Their vast populations demanded sustenance, but their larders were rapidly emptying. Driven by insatiable hunger, their elite scouts began venturing farther, pushing deep into the Woodland Collective's traditional territories. That's when it happened. Not an explosion of violence, not yet, but the first tense, chilling encounters. A Crimson Scout, antennae twitching, would suddenly find itself face to face with a woodland foraging party. No stings, no mandibles clashing. Just a silent, charged standoff. In those agonizing moments, both sides knew it. This wasn't just foraging. It was a desperate act of survival. The old peace? It was crumbling into dust. A new, terrifying chapter was about to begin. You know how things escalate, right? Well, for our tiny warriors beneath your lawn, those early territorial squabbles quickly exploded. What started as skirmishes over a stray crumb became full-blown, brutal assaults. And leading the charge? General Ignis, the Crimson Horde's most relentless commander. Ignis wasn't about random chaos. Oh no. He orchestrated calculated raids, not just on borders, but directly targeting the Woodland Collective's most vital resource, their precious food stashes. Imagine an entire winter's worth of stored provisions suddenly under siege. The woodland ants, valiant as they were, found themselves caught off guard. Queen Willow, their wise leader, could only watch as her loyal foragers and soldiers were forced onto a desperate defense. Casualties mounted, their lines thinning. It wasn't just a fight anymore. It was a devastating realization. The red fire ants weren't just invaders. They were an organized, merciless force. And for the Woodland Collective, the true cost of survival was just beginning to be counted. The Crimson Horde's relentless advance was a burning tide, and the Woodland Collective was drowning in losses. Queen Willow's chamber, usually a place of quiet command, now buzzed with urgent, desperate whispers. Her most seasoned strategists, their antennae twitching with grim determination, knew brute force wouldn't work. It was time for cunning. They had a daring counterplan, something born from generations of living beneath the roots. The earth itself, one scout whispered, will be our weapon. The fire ants might be strong, but they were also predictable. The Woodland Collective knew every tremor, every hidden fault line in their vast, intricate tunnels. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Woodland engineers, usually meticulous builders, became saboteurs. Strategic tunnel collapses began. They lured Crimson warriors into collapsing sections, burying entire regiments beneath tons of shifting earth. But that wasn't all. Hidden pockets of pungent sap, unearthed by the fire ants digging, were deliberately punctured, creating sticky, immobilizing traps. Others were led into chambers filled with suffocating fine dust, stirred up from ancient fungi spores. It wasn't a victory yet, not by a long shot. But, for the first time in days, the earth shuddered with something other than red fire ant aggression. It shuddered with the Woodland Collective's desperate, ingenious defense. And the tide, just maybe, had begun to turn. But for how long? Imagine the tension as both armies converged on Willow Creek. This wasn't just a skirmish. This was it. The final, desperate struggle for the very lifeblood of their empires. Thousands of ants, a living tide of brown and crimson, clashed in an explosion of frantic mandibles and stinging fury. The Woodland Collective, as you can picture, moved with a synchronized precision born of generations. They formed phalanxes, using their environment, pushing back against the sheer, overwhelming wave of Crimson Horde warriors. But red fire ants, fueled by an almost insane aggression, swarmed, climbing over their own fallen, their fiery stings a relentless torment. Courage was etched into every tiny movement. We saw Woodland scouts sacrifice themselves to hold choke points, allowing their comrades to flank. We witnessed Crimson berserkers tear through lines with suicidal abandon. The air vibrated with the sounds of battle, a symphony of clicking chitin and desperate struggle. This wasn't just a fight for water. It was a no-holds-barred war for total supremacy, testing every ounce of their will. Who would prevail in this brutal, climactic showdown? The silence that fell over Willow Creek was not peaceful. It was the heavy, echoing quiet of exhaustion. Imagine, if you will, the aftermath. The once vibrant battleground, now a grim tapestry of fallen warriors, a testament to the brutal, relentless ferocity of the war. The Woodland Collective, though triumphant, had paid a devastating price. Their numbers, once robust, were tragically diminished. Their tunnels scarred. Their very spirit weary. Victory, as you can now clearly see, wasn't a celebration, but a stark, immediate demand for survival. They had to rebuild, adapt, or perish in this changed world. For the Crimson Horde, the outcome was far more severe. Those few scattered survivors faced an agonizing choice: flee into the perilous unknown, or face complete eradication. Their once fiery empire was reduced to ashes. This wasn't just a win or a loss. It was a brutal, unforgettable lesson etched into the very soil. It laid bare the unforgiving cycle of nature, where dominion is constantly contested, and survival is never truly guaranteed. The dust had settled at Willow Creek, but the fight for existence